The thing that makes us human is our ability to connect with other people. We are social creatures. It's what we've always been and what we always will be. But we can also be terribly unkind to each other sometimes, which makes this special ability of ours all the more precious. When we open up to someone about our past or our feelings, we're basically placing ourselves in their hands. We're putting ourselves in a vulnerable position and giving them the power to either hurt us or help us. Sometimes we're cruel to others without even realizing it. Maybe we say something without thinking, or do something that we think is funny but isn't. And when someone is kind to us, we just assume they're being nice because that's what they do. But no, kindness is actually an act of courage. It takes strength to stand up for what's right, especially when no one else is. For example, have you ever seen someone being bullied and you just stood there and watched? It happens everywhere and every day. Sometimes it might seem like the best option is to stay out of it, to not get involved because then you don't risk getting hurt yourself. You don't want to make things worse, so you just let it happen. But that's exactly what bullies rely on our silence, on our inability to speak up. The truth has the power to set us free. It's the only way to break the cycle of bullying, but it requires us to be courageous and kind. Cruelty survives in silence, but dies in truth. This quote means that cruelty flourishes when people are afraid to speak up. When people keep quiet, cruelty can thrive and spread. But the moment someone speaks up against it, it weakens and eventually disappears. To truly understand this quote, we need to look at the two parts separately and then bring them together. First, let's look at the word cruelty. Cruelty is defined as the quality of being cruel. It's the state of being deliberately and intentionally harmful to others. It's not accidental. A cruel person enjoys causing pain to others. They take pleasure in it. But why? Why would someone enjoy hurting another human being? When we're born, we all cry when we're hungry, or when we're scared, or when we do not feel well. These are our natural instincts. But somewhere along the line, some of us learn to repress these emotions instead of showing how we really feel. Instead of crying, we force ourselves to be strong. We pretend we're okay. But when we hold back our true feelings, those emotions don't just go away. They manifest themselves in other ways. And for some people, that other way is through cruelty. By being cruel to others, they're acting out the emotions they can no longer express openly. But why do they cause pain to others? People often hurt others because they themselves have been hurt. Maybe it was something that happened when they were kids and no one ever helped them process it. So now they inflict the same pain on others because that's all they know. The psychologist Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why can endure any how." If you have a reason for your actions, it makes it easier to deal with whatever obstacles come your way. So if someone has been hurt in the past and doesn't have anyone to help them process it, then they'll just keep on hurting until someone shows them the light. Now, let's look at the second part of the quote, silence. Silence is not just the absence of sound. It's also the absence of action. It's the absence of speaking up. Sometimes silence can be golden. It can give us time to think or allow us to enjoy the beauty of the present moment. But silence can also be harmful. It can allow cruelty to thrive. If you see someone being bullied and you do nothing, then you're essentially allowing the cruelty to continue. You're being complicit in it. That doesn't mean you have to put yourself in danger, but you can always find a way to speak up. It could be as simple as walking up to the bully and telling them to stop, or you could anonymously report them to the authorities if you're too afraid to confront them directly. But we tend to stay silent because we're afraid of making things worse, afraid of being hurt, or simply because we don't think it's our place to get involved. But when we do nothing, the cruelty continues. Now, let's put these two parts together. Cruelty survives in silence, but dies in the truth. Cruelty survives in silence because that's when it flourishes. That's when it can spread and grow unchecked. But the moment someone speaks up, the balance of power shifts. The bully can no longer maintain their control, because truth has a way of setting us free. Speaking up takes courage, but it also takes kindness. To speak up against cruelty, you have to be willing to step outside of your comfort zone. You have to be willing to put yourself in a vulnerable position, and you have to be willing to face the consequences, because when you speak up, you're challenging the status quo. You're disturbing the balance of power, and that can be scary. For example, if you're a victim of bullying, it might be hard to speak up at first. You might be afraid of making things worse, but when you do speak up, the bully loses their power over you. Their cruelty can no longer affect you because you've reclaimed your narrative. You've taken back control of your life. It's not easy to be kind, especially when we're afraid or threatened. But when we do choose kindness, we create a ripple effect. We inspire others to do the same. When we show compassion and empathy towards others, we create a ripple effect. We inspire others to do the same. In today's world, it can be easy to get caught up in our own lives and forget about the struggles of others. But when we take the time to listen and offer support, we create a ripple effect that can change the world. When we're kind to others, we're not just making their day, we're also making ours. Kindness is a superpower that we all have. It's the ability to make someone feel seen, heard, valued, and appreciated. And when we use this superpower wisely, we create a ripple effect that can change the world. So the next time you see someone in need, take a moment to pause and consider how you can help. It doesn't have to be something big. A simple act of kindness can make all the difference. There's this one story that really illustrates the power of speaking up against cruelty. It's about a young girl who was being bullied at school. She was being bullied for years, but she never told anyone. She didn't tell her parents, her teachers, or her friends. She just kept it all inside. One day, the bullying got so bad that the girl took her own life. When her parents found out what had been happening at school, they were devastated. They couldn't believe that their daughter had been suffering in silence. They felt like they had failed her. But they decided to speak out. They went to the media and told their story. They started a foundation to help other victims of bullying. And they even met with the president to discuss anti-bullying legislation. Through their courage, they were able to make a real difference. They didn't just speak out for their daughter, but for all the victims of bullying. Their story is a powerful reminder that speaking out against cruelty can save lives. Let me tell you another story. This one about a boy who was being bullied at school. He was being bullied for years, but he never told anyone. He didn't tell his parents, his teachers, or his friends. He just kept it all inside. One day, the bullying got so bad that the boy took his own life. When his parents found out what had been happening at school, they were devastated. They couldn't believe that their son had been suffering in silence. They felt like they had failed him. But they decided to speak out. They went to the media and told their story. They started a foundation to help other victims of bullying. And they even met with the president to discuss anti-bullying legislation. Through their courage, they were able to make a real difference. Their story is a powerful reminder that speaking out against cruelty can save lives. So the next time you see someone being bullied, please don't stay silent. Please don't just walk by and pretend like you didn't see anything. Please speak up. Let the bully know that you won't tolerate their behavior. Let the victim know that they're not alone. We all have the power to make a difference. We all have the power to stop cruelty in its tracks. All it takes is a little bit of courage. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.